Okay, thanks for coming, boys. You can have a chair. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Alaska. Have you ever had to wait for a moose and her calf to cross the highway while you're driving? Or have you ever seen a black bear just kind of walking along the trees while you're close by? Or have you ever seen a glacier calf? Well, www.alaska.com tells us that you might see these things if you go to Alaska. So I think you guys should try Alaska for your next vacation. So I'm going to tell you some reasons why it would be fun to go. There's beautiful landscape. We're going to talk a little bit about the family activities that you could do and also the history and the culture of the state. So you may ask, why should I go to Alaska? Well, first of all, Alaska is just a very beautiful state. This is a picture of the Childs Glacier near Cordova, Alaska. I went there 2 years ago and was able to see the glacier calve. That's when the leading edge of the glacier falls off into the water. A big chunk of ice falls in the water. www.fs.fed.us says there's 100,000 glaciers that live in Alaska. They're very impressive. Some are very big. www.childsglacier.com will tell you about this specific glacier. It's very, very active glacier. Alaskascenes.com tells us a little bit more about the wildlife. There's lots of birds in Alaska. There's eagles, bald eagles, golden eagles, and lots of kinds of birds. Here's just one that we happened to see when we were there. You'll also find puffins, birds, moose. Here's a caribou that we saw at Denali National Park. You'll see sheep there, some bears there, lots of interesting animals. Because Alaska has a lot of coastline, you'll also see a lot of fish and marine life. You'll see whales and porpoise and dolphin and salmon, just to name a few. Alaska has a lot of mountains, several mountain ranges. They're very majestic. Here's the picture of some snow-capped mountains. Here's a picture of some mountains that are covered with trees with a nice little valley winding down between the mountains. There's a lot of unspoiled wilderness. And we couldn't talk about Alaska without mentioning Mount McKinley. Mount McKinley is also called Denali by the local people. Denali means the high one. And Denali is the highest mountain in North America. It's like 20,000 feet above sea level. And this was a very crystal clear day the day we went to see Denali. It was a very beautiful sight. So, in addition to all this natural beauty, Alaska also has family activities to do. You can take a guided tour by nearly any kind of transportation. You can go by bus, which is what we did this day. You can take this was a train tour. You can go by bus, ferry, hiking, dog sled, or even by cruise ship, like this picture shows us. Whale watching is another popular activity. At www.whalewatchersalaska.com, we can find out there are certain times of year where certain kinds of whales are more likely to be found. And on our ferry ride, we happened to see this whale breaching, and here's a better picture of its tail. There's beluga whales, gray whales, humpback whales. Sometimes you'll see orcas and other kinds of whales near or off the Alaska coastline. Alaska also has some history, some very rich history. So in addition to the scenery and the wildlife and the activities that we've talked about, we've learned that there's many opportunities to learn about the history of Alaska. Alaska was first inhabited by Native Americans, and this is one of their totem poles. www.alaskanative.net tells us also about some of the music and their crafts and their traditions of the indigenous people. Other things common and popular about Alaska include the Gold Rush days, and there's camps and tours that you can attend to learn about the Gold Rush days. You can go panning for gold. It's really kind of interesting. They also have museums where you can learn about World War II memorabilia, or you can learn about archaeological findings, and you can also learn about the Alaska Pipeline. So, Alaska has lots to offer. Here's some of the tools of the indigenous people that you can see in some of the museums and the festivals that they have. The single flower with the mountain background reminds us that Alaska is a beautiful state, a great place to travel. It will be a fun place to go for vacation. And I would really encourage you to go there because it has the natural beauty, the family activities, and a lot of history to learn about. So, if you go to Alaska for your next vacation, and I hope you do, take a camera. Oh, can you guys stand up for me again? We get to see you on camera one more time before I shut it off. That's awesome. Thanks, boys.